6:30. We have a quorum. Planning board meeting will come to order pursuant to chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. As amended, this meeting is being conducted in a remote Zoom format. The public has been provided with adequate alternative means of access via Zoom, as noted in the posted meeting notice, along with access and participation instructions. As chair, I hereby notify all participants that this meeting is also being recorded by the town through Hadley Media and will be made accessible to the public in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20F. Any person who intends to record or transmit this meeting must inform the chair at this time. Is there anyone recording?
No,
Is that a yes or no?
no,
Oh, that's fine. Okay. Those in attendance for the planning board are William Dwyer, myself, Jim Maximowski, Joe Zagrodnik, Kishore Parmar, and Mark Dunn. And first up for general information is, or not, actually, first up on the agenda is a sign review for True North Bank. Is somebody here from True North Bank?
Hi, I'm here for that, Heather.
Okay,
How are you?
good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Do I need to share my screen for this?
Yes,
I
Yeah.
think Bill told me. Bill
We-
told me I needed to do that.
Yeah, go ahead, share. It's going to, then I'm going to have to hit allow. So you should be fine now.
Okay. All right. I'm getting pretty good at this share screen thing, so I'm glad I could get that right up. It's a pretty simple request. We need to change the existing bank ESB signs to True North. So this is a regional name change. We're doing several sites in Western Massachusetts, and this is the site in Hadley. The first sign, it's a reface only. We'll just remove the green panel and replace that at the same size as the existing. They are acrylic push-through letters that will illuminate, but only the lettering illuminates at night, as does the existing sign illuminate, have the internal illumination, and it's the same size panel as the existing. No structural change to the base or the sign otherwise. And the second sign is on the building. We'll just remove the existing and replace. These are non-illuminated letters, acrylic painted. The existing size is 22.1 square foot, and we're replacing just slightly larger at 24.6.
Okay.
And that is the extent of the sign changes.
Okay, so the illumination of the street sign is grandfathered. The building sign is non-illuminated. Both signs are within the zone bylaw. Any other questions from the planning board? Anybody questions from the audience that are up there? Seeing none?
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
You have a motion second? Okay, you can stop sharing your screen. Please.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay, that's good. It makes this next
Mhm.
one easier. Okay, we have a
Okay.
motion and a second. All in favor, roll call vote.
Dunn, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximowski, aye.
Parmar, aye.
Zagrodnik, aye.
Motion passes 5-0. You're all set.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody here for filing planning board? Oh yeah, anybody here filing anything for future planning board meetings? Nothing. Anybody here for general questions on zone bylaws or for questions on their anything? No, okay. Well, that brings things early.
So I actually was thinking about this. I didn't put times on the agenda anymore. I know there are times on the legal notice, so we can't start the battery storage until 6:45, but we can take up the Sovereign Builders.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Just for everybody on the planning board, we are going to reopen. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Dwight.
So I'm going to make a motion to reopen the public hearing for Sovereign Builders for the purpose of making an amended motion.
That's 42 Middle Street. That's the senior housing that we approved last meeting. Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. The reason we're reopening it is because there was a bit of a miscommunication between the planning board and DPW. And when I went to see the DPW on a different topic last week, they had some questions about the senior housing, pretty much about mostly, the water line and different little things like that. And it was too much to simply, okay, make the changes and to make sure that we got them onto the drawing, to make sure everything was in order. Scott, the DPW director, emailed myself, and all those went to Jeff Squire, and the people involved with 42 Middle Street, they made the appropriate changes. That was sent back to the DPW, and Scott McCarthy has said that the project now meets DPW questions that they had and the different changes they wanted. And it was all about the water line and stuff like that. So maybe, Jeff, if you could make a quick comment of what minor things would change, just so we don't have to go through a lot of stuff.
Sure. Thanks, Jim. Yeah. The changes or updates were pretty much material or detail related. Changing from plastic pipe or from ductile iron water line to a PVC or plastic water line, the service size, materials of the tap in the street, and clarifying tree removal within the public way. So there were a couple of just details like that we confirmed or clarified in our details, but didn't seem like, it was certainly anything substantial and relates to the site layout or general project.
Are there going to be any town trees you're going to have to remove for this project, or are they all on private land?
What? I'm sorry.
Are there going to be any trees on town?
There is one public shade tree, so we'll have to apply for, before they, obviously, construction or anything happens, they'll need to go through the proper channels for shade tree removal.
Okay,
permit.
so yeah, that'll be a select board, public hearing, whatever they got to do for that.
Right.
Okay. And I mean, the lines feeding the houses were 3/4 inch. The DPW requires 1 inch.
Yep.
And they also allow plastic pipe as the main pipes for different things. So on one hand, they allow them to change that. So those are the basic changes that were done. And like I said, the DPW is satisfied with the changes.
Yep.
So with that said, any questions or comments?
Can we first get a vote on the motion to reopen?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We had a second.
Yeah, we have motion and second. All in favor of reopening the public hearing? Roll call vote.
Dunn, nay. No, I mean, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximowski, aye.
Carmar, aye.
Zagrodnik, aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Sorry about that. So anyways, you had the explanation, you had the minor changes that were made. They've been put onto the drawings, so the drawings we approve tonight will be compliant and have those modifications done.
So Jeff, what is the revision date of the latest and greatest?
It would be July 16th.
Okay, so I will make a motion to approve the application for a senior housing special permit under the Hadley zoning bylaw. And it's going to be based on everything that I read through last time. I won't read through it again, with the exception that we are now working we're now working with a plan revision date of 7/16/26. And I will add one condition, subject to approval of other boards if and as required, including DPW shade tree. But otherwise, it's the same motion I made before to approve it as being in compliance with the senior housing overlay bylaw.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any comments or questions from anybody? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Dunn, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Max Samaski, aye.
Farmer, I.
Zagrodnik, aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you
gentlemen.
for being patient, Mr. Squire.
Have a good evening.
Okay. We do have an invoice to, one bill to pay to Daily Hampshire Gazette for $482.90. Make a motion to pay it.
I'll make a motion to pay the Gazette $482.90.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Dunn, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Max Samaski, aye.
Farmer, I.
Zagrodnik, aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. We have about a couple of minutes, not much. Anybody have anything brief they want to mention or talk about before we open the public hearing on ZP battery storage?
I will say that I thought I would have minutes of the last meeting ready. I won't, so we won't be taking up minutes on section 3H. And otherwise, no.
Okay,
Bill, it seems redundant to me that we're recording it, and if somebody wants to get an accurate depiction of the last meeting or any meeting, they can go on Hadley Media and dial it up. Why do we have to do both?
Because that's how the law reads.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
we had a meeting about, what, maybe 2 months ago, Bill? Not even, with town council. There was a bunch of town boards all about open meeting and different stuff like that. And I specifically asked the question that our meetings are recorded and they're available, like you just said. And she says, and state law still requires you to have minutes, even though the minutes are whatever, but that's the law. So that's what we have to do. I mean, you can go to the YouTube and get, it's like watching a meeting. It's 100% accurate.
Mhm.
It'll
Because the
be,
minutes are, obviously a point in time. But
yeah, the minutes are merely a summary and in no way as detailed as the video, but there you have it.
like we said, that's the law, so we're just going to comply. All right. I guess it's close enough to 7:45. It's like 7:44 and a half. Okay, we'll start the public hearing. The Hadley Planning Board will conduct a Zoom public hearing on Tuesday, July 21, 2026, beginning at 6:45 p.m. Purpose of the hearing is to reconsider the application of ZP Battery Device Company LLC to construct an energy storage system at 0 Breckenridge Road, site of the formal gravel pit for special permits, site plan approval, business use in aquifer, and solar energy systems. Plans are available by emailing planning@hadleyma.gov or visit town clerk's office during normal business hours. Details are available on the planning board agenda when posted, published twice in the Gazette, June 26th and July 3. And just as a clarification, this is actually a new application, not a reconsideration of the former. And with that, Mr. Corbett is here someplace.
Yes, I am. Good
Okay,
evening.
Mr. Corbett, you can.
Good evening. Good to see you all. My name is Tom Corbett, Senior Project Manager with ZP Battery DevCo and ZPB 2020-002 LLC for the special permit application for the construction of a 5 megawatt energy storage system off of Breckenridge Road. I do have counsel here with me tonight. James Avone is online. Just wanted to put that out there. So I'm going to need to share, if possible, here.
Should be set.
Awesome. Great. So as I mentioned, this is a 5 megawatt battery storage system. Property address is really 0 Breckenridge Road. It's parcel 6A, 29A. Applicant being ZPB 2020-002. The property is comprised of roughly 5 acres. About half of that is cleared in the rear portion of the site, and the front portion of the lot is mostly wooded. There are no wetlands on site. There's an existing access road used by Carl's Excavating, the owner of the property and the property to the rear, that will be used to access the property to the project. There are some existing drainage features on site, such as a small swale depression and a culvert pipe that directs the existing runoff on site currently. Those drainage features will be improved upon through the development of the project. And the project's been designed to utilize the existing cleared portion to the rear of the property, with the exception of some minor tree cutting and trimming in the front of the property nearest to Breckenridge Road for the interconnection equipment. So here on screen, you can see Breckenridge Road to the east, Huntington Road to the south, Quinlan Drive up to the north, and shaded here is our subject property. So some existing conditions. This is off of the site plan submitted to you all. As you can see here in the dark green, this is all wooded area. There's slight grass along the edge of the roadway coming in, this tan area here, depicting the existing current gravel drive coming into the site. And here are some existing photos recently taken about 3 weeks ago. So this shows the access off of Breckenridge Road here. And this picture on the left here shows the general location of where the interconnection equipment would be to connect to Eversource's distribution network. This is existing condition sheet 2 of 3 on the site plan, which shows the continuation of the gravel access road coming down into the rear of the site to the existing gravel laydown area, mostly used for storage of stone, sand, gravel, what have you. The light green area, which depicts the area that I considered mostly cleared, which is mostly vegetated with grass and some small tree growth that's happened since some clearing has happened in the past. This other kind of brighter shade green is that existing swale that's on site with the existing drainage culvert pipe crossing the access road and exiting onto the adjacent property owned by the landowner. So that piece of it will be enhanced on the outfall end and on the internal to our property here. So this is some existing conditions, site photos from a few weeks ago showing that gravel road in the existing laydown area where we plan to construct the battery storage. This kind of gives a general overview from an aerial view showing the access road along that southern portion of the property line and continuing to the north, and then the existing cleared portion. And you can see how this isn't very covered with trees anyway. So the proposed facility includes the installation of 5 battery energy storage containers, along with the associated inverters, transformers, and other electrical equipment associated with the project. The battery containers will be installed on concrete pads and surrounded by a secondary containment system under below grade. Ground mounted equipment will be all installed on concrete pads. The ground surface immediately surrounding the ESS will be gravel and enclosed in a chain link fence. So the ESS will be accessed by an existing driveway from Breckenridge Road, and the system area will be fenced and accessed by a locked gate, of which a Knox box mechanism will be provided for emergency access. The energy storage system will be connected to the existing electrical infrastructure that there's the 3-phase power lines coming up Breckenridge Road. And so here we see some of the proposed conditions. So on Breckenridge Road here to your east, plan, I guess, page right. So existing access road remaining the same, being that of gravel base. The interconnection area in this general location here will be pole mounted with a pad mount as well. And it will go underground following the edge of the access road all the way to the rear of the property. And again, minimal tree clearing here in this corner of the lot for the front corner of the lot for the utility. So moving to the rear of the site, you'll see the gravel access road continuing on and coming into that existing gravel laydown area, which we will be utilizing for the system itself. Again, here we see some, zoom in a little bit for you. We see some enhancement to this swale, catching all the runoff that's coming off this hillside and pretty much all grades down into the site as you're coming down the access road from Breckenridge. All that water is kind of collected into this existing swale. We're going to enhance that and enhance the capacity of that so we can meet the stormwater regs. So the proposed equipment area. So this kind of gives you a better look at what's going on within the fence line. There's a 6-foot, so surrounding the site in orange here, orange red, there's a 6-foot security fence that has the gate on the front of it, which will have the Knox box for the fire department. Crushed stone all within the fence, except for that of underneath the equipment pads, that it's all concrete equipment pads, all underground electric within the fence line and continuing out to the frontage of Breckenridge Road. Specifically here for equipment, we've got 5 energy storage cabinets. Those are highlighted here in the orange color. So there's 1 here, 2 here, and 2 here. Adjacent to those are the yellow boxes here. Those depict the medium voltage skids. So that's your transformer, as well as your low voltage and your site controller, all in one skid, similar to that of the container itself. Next to that, we've got some meters and reclosers and neutral ground reactors to make that connection to the grid. Highlighted here in blue is the subsurface secondary containment system. So that's a geomembrane designed and constructed and built by Basic Concepts Inc., which is detailed in the application report as far as how that process goes and what that looks like for an installation. And I have a picture of that later here in the presentation as well. This containment area drains to the front corner here into a vault, and that vault collects all the rainwater on a normal basis and lets that evacuate through this blue pipe here to the water quality structure and then out to that drainage swale into the riprap, and that all gets collected and out the culvert pipe to the other property here, adjacent property. So here's a little bit of a view of what that secondary containment looks like. This is all preformed corners, polyvinyl membrane. The membrane gets brought up to the concrete pads, strapped to that, and it's staked up along the edges. Then that is backfilled, well, it's covered with a geotextile, and then it's backfilled with clean wash stone. So the containment system for this particular site holds roughly 17,000 gallons. It's a little bit better than that, but we'll call it 17,000 for the sake of this conversation today. And again, this is Basic Concepts Inc. It's also when they install the whole system, which is backed by a $7 million product and environmental insurance policy. In addition to the secondary containment on site, each battery storage container has its own secondary drip pan and collection point that holds about 138% of the fluid for the system. So these are liquid cooled battery storage containers, so that there is a volume of ethylene glycol mixed with water, just like your car, that cools the plates underneath each battery module. And if there were to be any leak, there are several catch pans throughout the container itself that then convey through a hose to the coolant collection tank. That coolant collection tank is accessible from the outside of the container and can be drained in the event that there is a leak. So a couple different layers of secondary containment, one being the battery storage container itself having a containment for the liquid volume that is housed inside and used to cool the system. And then we have a secondary containment system subsurface underneath the system itself, predominantly for fire protection runoff. So I've got some proposed aerials here, but I just want to go through a couple more things here with you all. So the project will store energy from three-phase feeder on Breckenridge Road during solar-based hours and just as described in the Clean Peak program, which this project is following. And this is the latest state program for clean energy. And that those hours occur while existing solar arrays are connected to the same substation, are producing energy to the grid at a high rate, often exceeding the demand. The distribution of energy from the project to the three-phase feeder during the seasonal peak periods is proposed to follow the solar curve in each of the 4 seasons as outlined in the Clean Peak program. The project will export energy back into the distribution grid during peak demand hours when existing solar arrays are not producing. By distributing the stored energy during peak demand periods, the project reduces demand for energy from non-renewable sources at times when renewable sources are not available to generate sufficient electricity to meet the community needs and increase the overall reliability and robustness of the local distribution grid. So these projects are mandated, and this project does comply with all state, local, and national codes, including the Commonwealth's Electrical Code, the Fire Code, National Fire Protection Association 855 standard for the installation of stationary energy storage systems, as well as NFPA 1 Fire Code. And these projects are listed under UL, and they go through a UL 9540 standard for energy storage systems equipment testing on a system level, as a 5 megawatt system level, as well as an individual container, the battery modules themselves, and then down to the cellular level as well. The project, so these containers, so these containers here, they have multiple, so the biggest protection for fire is the battery management storage system itself. And the project features multiple overlapping systems designed to ensure that it poses no threat to public health or safety. The project's ESS units each have expansive battery and energy management systems that monitor the system's performance in real time, as well as having a predictive understanding of individual components. The battery management system within the ESS act as the first line of defense, equipped with a robust and redundant monitoring, monitoring things such as the state of charge. If a cell is degrading, it will let the system operator know. If there's a heat signal, it will do multiple things behind the scenes, as well as alert the project owner. So for example, yeah, the battery cell is trending warm. The system then signals the cooling system to send cooling to that cell. If the cooling does not correct the signal, the system will then depower that portion of the unit, or the unit in its entirety. These are set up in blocks, so it can shut off certain portions of the system, and it will notify the monitors that service is required. Once in operation, the system is actively monitored from a remote location with regularly scheduled on-site maintenance per industry standards. So I'll go through a couple of these renderings here that we've pulled together. So this kind of gives you a good aerial overview of what this area looks like. You've got the park here down to the south. You've got Breckenridge Road over here to the east, access road coming in, and the site itself located here. Quinlan Drive up here to the north. Huntington's just out of sight. So this is the proposed interconnection section. Dealing with Eversource now, the project is slated for pole interconnection as required by them. There is one pad mount here in between these two poles. That's our equipment that we get to decide on. So that's underground all the way back to the site. As you can see here, we have a fire hydrant located out front here. We can talk a little bit more about that in a bit. And here's just a zoomed in look onto the system. And here's a little bit closer. So these are battery storage containers here. There's one here, and there's two back to back on each side of the fence line in the rear. So with the secondary containment system, which is depicted here in blue, it's designed to capture and contain any water runoff that would be generated during an emergency event at the site. So Mass DEP kind of has some standards around this, which we've drawn down from some other projects in the state, and we've landed on this as being the suitable containment measure, one of which is used on substations for oil transformers, oil-filled transformers, what have you. And it meets the SPCC regs, even though this project does not need to. So we're enhancing the containment on site. We have multiple redundancies here with the cabinets having each secondary containment system, as well as the site itself. The containment system is designed to evacuate stormwater through the normally open valve that's in the corner here. So there's a vault in this corner that collects all the water through under drains that are within this containment system here. And when the system sends an emergency signal, if it senses that things are going wrong, that valve will close. So that's an automatic valve that's within that vault. And there are two manual valves outside of the fence here, one prior to the water quality unit and then one after the water quality unit. And the purpose of that is to be able to, in worst case scenario, we plan for the worst case scenario with the site and every site that we work with. So if 17,000 gallons happens to not be enough water capacity, which is highly unlikely, we do have the ability to close a valve downstream, open the valve upstream of this water quality unit, and pump water out to increase that, and I guess increase that volume capacity by drawing out water while things are happening and firefighting operations are ongoing. I did meet with Deputy Chief Flaherty probably 2 weeks ago now. We had a conversation around all of this. We reviewed the site plan and kind of what's going on with the site and best practices in the industry as far as response. He did not indicate any concern with this department and their ability to respond to an event here if there was one to be had. We also discussed, and I'll piggyback off of our previous application, but we've discussed fire hydrants here on site previously. So I had a conversation around his desire and need and want for a fire hydrant. Ultimately, he would like to see a hydrant on this side of Breckenridge Road. Previously, we had a hydrant located in this area here, which is actually shown on this plan. He does not like the location of this hydrant. He feels it's too close to the site. It doesn't offer enough flexibility for them to be able to operate. So he did want that to be located at the frontage of the property, closest to Breckenridge Road. So I guess that's a conversation to be had, but that is the desires of his department at this point in time. I did provide Deputy Chief with a draft emergency response plan as well for his review, which reviews everything as far as on sites, but subject matter experts, kind of the protection zones and the passive stance on fire protection here for these containers. So if one was to go into a thermal runaway, effectively you're going to let that system do as it's supposed to do with its battery management system and its heat management system, and allow the energy to burn out, and really just focusing on surrounding exposures and keeping other surrounding containers cool. So that is the purpose of the secondary containment system itself, is to capture that water that's used during those passive practices, which is typically a fogging pattern. It's not copious amounts of water being poured on these containers. It is highly advised against to put water directly onto an affected battery container for multiple reasons. One being that you could further the problem. So I think really that might be enough information for you all for right this second. So I'll leave it at that for right now, and I'll take questions, comments, and happy to explain anything further.
Okay, I will start. I've got probably more questions than we could get through for me tonight, but we'll at least get some of them. Are the lithium batteries? These are lithium batteries, correct?
Lithium ion,
Lithium ion. Are they wet or dry cells?
dry cells.
They are dry cells. Okay. You mentioned glycol. What kind of glycol? Is it propylene or ethylene?
It's an ethylene glycol. It's non-toxic. We've provided quite a bit of information in our application report around this, as well as Berkshire. I guess I didn't comment on that. The Berkshire Design Group has peer reviewed this project, and they've commented on that as well, that particular substance, as well as the oil that's in the transformer, which is a soybean oil.
Okay. Now you said that the spill containment holds 17,000 gallons.
That's correct.
Is that subtract? What about the stone that's in it? Does the stone subtract, or is that with the stone in there?
That accounts for the stone. So
That
with
accounts
the
for
stone,
stone.
yes,
Okay.
it does.
Then you mentioned you've got the drain valve at the corner that's normally open.
That's correct.
Is that a fail-safe valve?
Yeah. So when it loses, so it's powered on. So it's, I guess, yeah. When it's powered on, it's open. So
Okay.
when it loses power, it closes.
How often is that tested?
There's a maintenance program with the system itself, and that, I guess, that would be kind of written up in Basic Concepts Inc.'s report at the end of installation. I don't know it off the top of my head, Jim, but I could find out.
But it
likely,
is cycled,
likely, likely,
it is cycled on some kind of a basis to make sure, I mean, I've seen fail-safe valves that sit there and they're never cycled, and down the road, they want to use them and they're locked open.
yeah, and I guess to that point too, which is another reason for the secondary valves that we have here. So that there's manual valves outside of the fence, so that prior to any firefighting, extinguishing, water usage on site, that could be the ball valve would be closed, and effectively closing that system up as well.
Okay, you've got the four of the containers are side by side, and one of the things I talked to, not Mr. Flaherty, but the former fire chief, and he was concerned about the containers being side by side, that what you really want to get is some separation, so that if one container does happen to catch on fire, it's a lot easier to cool the surrounding containers if there's some separation between them. But I see that you've got back-to-back containers here.
That is correct. Yeah. So these particular containers, this particular manufacturer has done more fire testing and certifications than any other in the industry right now. They actually set fire to a system layout exactly like this. So a whole full 5 megawatt system, and through the UL standards and the UL testing, the recommendations for site layout are what we're looking at here. So this is drawn down from NFPA and UL testing, and provided to us by Sungrow Manufacturing. So this is a structural layout which is industry standard for this particular system.
Okay. I believe last year or 2 years ago, you applied for a subdivision for this property and it was approved.
That is correct.
So you will build that road to subdivision standards?
If the subdivision is exercised, yes.
Okay. The reason I ask that is to ensure that fire trucks and that kind of heavy equipment can go over this road.
Yep, this access road has triaxles and dump trucks down it every day. The deputy fire chief didn't express any concerns over the existing conditions of the road. I did offer a site visit as well, if he felt so necessary, but he felt comfortable with the road as is. But we can also take that up as well. But there are heavy equipment trucks down this road every day, much heavier than a fire truck.
Okay, and of course, this is even if it's a subdivision road, it'll be, I'm assuming you would plow it one way or the other and maintain it and all the kind of good stuff.
Yeah, so with the maintenance and through our lease agreement with the landowner, that all gets kind of covered. And it's also a requirement typically through the fire department, obviously, to keep these systems open. So whether it's he or us that plows the main driveway and we take care of the system itself, that's yet to be seen, but that will be spelled out in the lease later on. But maintenance will be done.
Let's see, emergency management, you're gonna have to submit some kind of an emergency management plan for this thing. I don't know if you submitted that with part of the application or not. I mean, there was no offense, but there was so many pages there that it kind of boggles the mind trying to look through everything.
I can understand that for sure. We wanted to make sure we got all the information in front of you.
I'm not complaining about the information.
I know. It is
saying there's a
expensive.
lot.
It's 405-page application report. So with the submission, we got you the technical information doc. The hazard mitigation analysis was also included in that technical information document, which outlines kind of steps that are taken during certain failure modes. And we've also provided a emergency response kind of guidance. I have since supplied the fire department themselves with the draft emergency response plan. And I can get some of the some of that information to you as well here for the board.
Okay. I mean,
But
there is
so
cooling.
I just want to touch one more thing on the emergency response plan. It's going to stay in draft form up until construction is complete. So once the project is constructed, we do boots on the ground training with the fire department, and the emergency response plan is then finalized at that point in time. That's going to specify certain things on site, whatever it may be. Hey, there's a big boulder over here. We got to work around that. There's things that are specific to the site, angles of attack, things like that, staging areas that all get ironed out with that boots on the ground training.
Could I just jump in with an administrative item? I see we have some hands up from the audience, and we are not ignoring you, but the protocol for these is the proponent gets his chance to make his presentation. Then the planning board members get to ask their questions, and then we get to the audience. So I don't want you to think we're ignoring you. We're not. We're just not at that phase yet.
Good point, thank you. Noise. I know that you've got some cooling, obviously, for these units. What kind of noise is going to be emitted from this project?
Yep. So the battery containers themselves are the noise producer, mainly from the fans that are located on the top of the containers, which is part of the cooling system as well. It does cool with fans as well as the liquid cooling. The system here is less than 75 decibels for the containers. Granted, when you put them together, it's a little bit more. Generally speaking, when you get 150 odd feet away from these, they're the sound is diminished down to roughly around like 55.
Diminished down to what?
About 55 decibels. But we could put something together for you in a figure that kind of depicts exactly what's going on here. That's
Yeah,
not a problem.
that would be helpful because not only is it just the noise itself, but it's the frequency is the noise. Because sometimes you can have low frequency or high frequency noises that are certainly below a decibel rating, but they're very annoying. And those are kind of things that we also want to be careful of.
Sure. Yeah, we have a sound engineer that has already worked on this project in the past, and we have him running up the sound for the system right now, actually. So we will provide you that updated information and get that to you. I don't see any concern with sound on this particular site, judging by distances to everybody. We're over 690 feet to the nearest abutter.
Yeah. Also, I mean, there will be a pilot agreement. I'm assuming that'll be between you and the Board of Selectmen or the Select Board. We keep our nose out of that, but that's something to be aware of.
Sure.
Okay. The water line tying into Breckenridge Road. The Breckenridge Road was just recently repaved within 2 years. And the town has I guess a regulation, I'm not sure it's a rule, it's certainly not a bylaw, that there shall be no disturbance of the newly repaved or paved road for 5 years. And obviously, if this project is approved, you're going to be disturbing that within that 5-year span. So I'm not quite sure. That's beyond the planning board jurisdiction, but it's something to be very aware of between you and the DPW and the select board.
Yes, and I had that conversation. I was alerted to that by the landowner some time back. So I did have that conversation with Deputy Chief Flaherty too, and he seemed very comfortable with the trucking water in the meantime if we couldn't actually get a hydrant on our side of the road. There is a hydrant just north on the eastern side of Breckenridge Road that he found suitable through our conversations.
Yeah, well, Mr. Flaherty is the he's now the acting fire chief. However, he has zero authority on DPW. So that would be Scott McCarthy.
No, I understand. I was just saying that in the event that we can't, I just want to assure the board that the fire department's aware that they may need to truck water in the interim if we can't open up the road.
On your testing of and monitoring, I'm assuming you must do some actual, you monitor these batteries, basically, it sounds like continuously. And you must do some kind of testing and inspection on the system itself on some frequency to certify the integrity that it's still all there.
Yeah, so the system's monitored 24/7 from afar. And there are quarterly, I'll put it at quarterly, right? Scheduled maintenance. It could be more frequent than that as far as somebody coming to the site. But in general, it's quarterly maintenance. They're going through, they're checking connections. They're making sure there's no leaks, there's no stickers ripped off. There's paint on the doors, the latches are locked, things like that. And system integrity, as far as how it's operating, is all managed from afar. There's not much that you do on site to be able to change what's going on in the system outside of making sure everything's tight and everything's locked and what have you.
I would request that you submit a copy of that report to the DPW director when you do them. I mean, if something confidential in there, you can, obviously black it out or whatever, but just for the basic verifying that the inspections were done, I would please request a copy be sent to the DPW director.
Yeah, I encourage the board to, if this project moves forward, I encourage the board to add that as a condition of the permit. That way we can assure that that gets done.
Okay. You got the lighting plan. Will there be lighting on this thing?
There are no lights on site.
No lights on site.
All lights that would be on site are going to be brought by a technician.
Okay. I have a few more things, but I will let it opened up to other comments on the planning board. Anybody have anything on the planning board? Speak
Well,
up.
I mean, those are very good questions, and it took some of mine away, but nevertheless, I just want to make it aware to the public that the concern from the planning board perspective is that this is located over our aquifer protection area. So in the two newspaper articles that were presented, it was not mentioned, and neither was it mentioned in the presentation before us. So this is why we're seem to be having a little extra more caution than we would ordinarily have for something, but it is an important issue.
Mark was
No,
Mark was
Just-
trying to raise his hand too.
yeah, just a second. I mean, because of the screen, if you just put your physical hand up, I may not see it. So please speak up from the planning board, because I can only see there's only 6 people that I can see out of all the people at this call. So
I
for
could-
the
I
planning
could
board
stop
point of
sharing.
view, please speak up. Mark,
Okay.
go ahead, Mark.
Okay, Jim, one question I think is for the board, which, if it wasn't stated earlier. So you said this is not a reconsideration of the previous, this is a new submittal, but I assume they are operating off of their original application date so that it was Hadley passing our ordinance about the aquifer protection. Is that right?
That's kind of a loaded question, because the subdivision that was approved grandfathers them, and they're operating on that subdivision.
Okay.
So simply because of the subdivision, they're grandfathered.
Okay. And then the other question I had was for Tom. I think it's an obvious answer, but so if you have, that heat overrun detection, there's a trigger that disconnects you from the grid to stop the incoming charges?
Yeah, so if there was a thermal event on site, there is a disconnect on site that we have access to ourselves as ZP Battery, as well as National Grid has one as well, but that would trip, yes. No further
So,
energy. to the
so
site. Shut that off right away.
is there an automatic or you have to get boots on the ground?
So it's automatic within the fence line.
Okay.
There would still be a charge, I suppose, coming into the meter. So
Okay.
in order to do that, upon initial response, the air brake on the pole mounted equipment would have to be pulled, which we have full access to as the system operator.
Okay. Those are the questions I had right now.
Anybody else on the planning board?
Yeah, I have a few.
Okay,
So, will your ownership, are you buying this parcel or are you leasing it?
We are leasing this parcel from Carl's Excavating.
Okay.
This is a long-term lease, 20-year lease.
How active is the rest of the sand pit?
On this particular parcel, not very out behind. They use it on a daily basis for their operations.
So it looks like everything runs down this road, though.
That's correct.
Okay. So there's relatively heavy traffic along along the access road.
Yes, as it is today. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a very well constructed road.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on future growth on this site?
We do not have any anticipation on future growth for this site. Right now, all the electric distribution companies, excuse me, within the state limit project size being added to a distribution network, such as this line, this three-phase line on Breckenridge Road, to 5 megawatts each. So they won't allow another system or an enhanced system at this point in time. Something in the future we can never predict, but there is no plan to ever augment this site.
And so you're identified as Battery DevCo, which I assume means development company. You're not going to be the owner or operator of this site going forward, I would anticipate.
No, we have partners that operate long-term that will likely ultimately be the owner of the site long-term.
Where is the monitoring based, and does it what else is it monitoring?
The monitoring base, it's a remote base. There are various locations throughout New England, predominantly in New York, that get the monitoring contracts that are looking at the system as a whole. It's looking at the health of the system, degradation of the batteries. And like I said, the battery management system in the cabinets on site are doing the majority of the work and sending signals.
But where they're sending it to a 24/7 facility.
Yeah, that's correct. It's monitored 24/7 from afar. We do have subject matter experts that get identified in the emergency response plan. Those are under NFPA required to be to the site during a fault or any other emergency event within a certain specified amount of time.
And is this ultimately there's a human there?
Correct. Ultimately, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And in every site, just like this one will, it'll have a placard on the gate to the site, which will have an emergency contact, system operator contact. So when that number is called, you have a direct line to somebody that has eyes on the system and can see what's actually going on.
And did you have again, as Jim said, we didn't look through all 500 pages. Do you have a decommissioning plan in there somewhere?
I don't believe that made it in here. I wanted to discuss that with you all as a requirement. I do have it prepared, so I could get that to you in short time.
Well, particularly what we're looking for is whatever your plan is, we're also looking for a decommissioning bond.
Yes. Yep. So
And-
that's what I wanted to discuss, I guess. So the way that process will work is what I'll run up, what that cost of decommissioning would be, and then we'd have a conversation about that and come to an agreement.
I
Okay.
understand that some others that have presented to us have used a planner of sorts that's on the New York State site, I guess, for decommissioning of solar fields. They have
Yeah,
a calculator for that.
Yeah, we do internally as well. We've done this on multiple systems throughout the state already here for this exact system layout.
Okay.
We've got vendors that we work with for things like trucking, the white glove packaging of this components on site, trucking to the recycling facility, what have you. So I'll get you that report.
Okay, yeah, that would be very helpful because that will be one of the conditions of any approval that might come. You post the removal bond up front.
Yep.
Or at least that prior to going live.
Right. Makes sense.
Those are my questions.
Great. I've got one more coming back. You mentioned you had I have not heard anything from the deputy fire chief or the former fire chief about you meeting with them. Do you have anything in writing that they've approved everything, Tom?
I don't. I was hoping that he was gonna have. He said that you guys have. I don't know if it's monthly meetings or what it is that you guys kind of all get together and discuss subjects, matters, and maybe what's going on. But I can reach out to deputy chief or acting chief and get him to put some thoughts together in a letter if that would be helpful. Mike has since left, and we did not have the conversation with him. So
that will be very helpful. Thank you.
Bob at this point.
No.
So
Any other planning board questions?
Yeah,
Go ahead, keep short.
yeah, I just had two quick ones. Some of them already been asked. Usually for the response time on site, what is that time period? If there is emergency, how long does it take for an individual to get on site?
Typically around an hour, but for a particular like fire response, for like our emergency response drafter is typically who we would use as our contractor. They'd be there within 24 hours, but that's typically an after the event kind of investigation piece of it. So on-site subject matter expert within an hour, which is to help guide the fire department.
Okay. And the other question I have is regarding monitoring. I know the system's being monitoring, but is there a policy of monthly or yearly soil monitoring around the
So no, because the system does not leak or discharge anything under normal operating conditions. So that if there were to be a spill, it would be a known spill. We'd have to report it to DEP. That containment system also would catch anything that's spilling.
Right.
The secondary containment in each container. So really, soil conditions would only be that after a fire would be looked at.
All right, so it's not constantly, so soils aren't constantly monitored in case there's something that's obvious to you folks. Regarding DEP, do you have to get certified by DEP, and is that also yearly or is it just a one-time deal?
There's no certification through DEP. DEP has certain jurisdictions. There are no wetlands on site. It does not trigger an NOI. So there are no DEP permits required for this. I hope that answers your question.
Yep. Yep, that was it.
So then I guess I would be next on the planning board. I have one more question. I'm looking at your spill management. Is there anything, I haven't gone all the way through it, that shows what properties along Huntington would be downstream from, your facility?
Downstream from our facility on
As
Huntington.
in, yeah, like if you were studying, if it flowed over the street, following topo, where would, who should be worried if there's, if your 170, whatever it was, capacity somehow broke?
So the containment system captures all the fire water runoff and holds it as a bathtub, and it's taken off site with a truck. So I guess downstream is not something that is looked at in that spill management plan. That spill management plan is specifically kind of outlining what's going on with that secondary containment system and how to handle a spill in general. It does not look downstream of anything, as we're handling everything on site.
And so you're saying it's going to burn and it's not going to be doused with water, so that's not going to overflow?
That's correct.
Okay.
Did you, I believe you said that actually Carl's site work owns the surrounding land as well.
They do. They own the land adjacent. That's right.
I would anticipate your lease provides you with some right to drain onto that land for your normal.
Yeah, for the
storage.
for the stormwater, that existing pipe that's on site, that existing pipe will remain. So the only thing that we'll be doing off-site, which is on the adjacent parcel, is just enhancing the outfall, because the outfall that's there right now isn't like rip-wrapped. It's not very well. It's kind of more of a channelized flow. So we'll be putting a level spreader as well as rip-wrap at the end of that pipe to just enhance that stormwater runoff.
Okay, I mean, you mentioned that the area, and I guess most of you are surrounded by property that Carl's Excavating owns.
That's correct.
I would request that no hunting signs be put on all of the Carl's Excavating property, because if somebody's out there hunting and a stray bullet hits one of these things, I mean, there's a lot of critters around there. And that could be a problem.
True.
Any other questions from the planning board? I will go, I'm just gonna go as I didn't see who put the hand up first, so I can't pick you first. But I
It
will
would
go
be, it was Sean.
Sean
Sean
Mackin.
Mackin.
Sean Mackin.
Hi, everybody. 27 Breckenridge. Jim, can you summarize the argument why this was shot down last time?
This was refused last time because they were building the zone bylaw at the time specifically prohibited energy storage systems over the aquifer.
And without solar component.
Without a solar component, correct. Well, it didn't matter, I believe, even if there was a solar component, energy storage systems were going to be prohibited over the aquifer.
So what has changed in this situation?
The state has said we can't prohibit.
But the state has said that you can prohibit if it's a risk to public welfare or safety.
That's correct.
Jim, sorry.
And It's a very delicate situation here that the batteries by themselves basically do not pose a significant health hazard. There's now, a fire aside, let's leave that as a separate item. A fire aside, the batteries do not pose a significant hazard. The glycol that they're using now is basically a non-toxic type antifreeze. If there's a fire, it's a different situation. And if there's a fire, even in a house fire, you have the risk of pollution. So, you've got to be, how would I say this, somewhat reasonable in what we're prohibiting or allowing, because the state has basically used a thing called the Dover Amendment, and the Dover Amendment says you can't prohibit. I'm afraid.
Besides protecting public welfare, correct?
Yes. Now, I can't say too much more because the lawsuit is still active. This application is kind of a new application. The lawsuit is still active, and if I open my mouth too much, I could get both of us, both Mr. Corbett and myself, the planning board, in trouble with the lawsuit. So I'm not trying to be evasive here. I'm just trying to be honest that I can't say a lot.
Got it. So Tom, can you discuss why is this in a lawsuit now? Why are we in a situation where it's already been determined that this would it's over Hadley Aquifer? We're in a residential neighborhood with APR land right next to a children's playground, but we're still going to try to find a loophole under the old Hadley law to come in. So can you explain why is your company suing? Without getting the specifics, just why are you doing that? Why are you suing the town of Hadley?
And this is James Savone. I'm the attorney for ZP. As it's an ongoing litigation, as the board member had mentioned, there's not much we can say, and I'm not obviously town council, but the lawsuit from ZP was a challenge to the initial refusal under the law, under the Dover Act, whether or not it was properly refused and denied. So that's what's the open question that is part of the lawsuit. This is essentially an amended application from the last application, but based on the Dover Act, and which protects certain uses, including solar and battery uses, and the limitations on board denials. That is what was the original lawsuit, and we've come back down with a revised plan. So I hope that answers your question in sort of a general manner.
Thanks, James. So Jim, in our last meetings, I forget how long it was ago concerning this, your biggest hesitation as a planning board was that this company would sue the town of Hadley for exactly what they're suing us for, correct?
I believe that's correct.
So, James, thank you very much for the explanation, but their counsel is here to put added pressure on anybody who is going to come in opposition or say anything regarding this, including you guys. So everyone has to watch what they say. This is not a common thing. Is it, Jim, for lawyers to be present at planning boards?
Oh, it's very common.
Yeah, I mean, usually, actually, I attend the planning board hearings and generally give the presentations. But my client here is well versed in the projects, so they give the presentation. But yes, usually I attend all planning and zoning board meetings.
All right, James, because you weren't at the 2 or 3 different meetings that we had.
Yeah, I wasn't.
You weren't there
previously, but that is my normal practice and likely our practice going forward with this particular client.
So James, where else is ZP Battery looking for projects in Massachusetts?
There are multiple towns in which they have either permitted or are looking to permit.
such as?
I mean, Tom can.
Yeah, I can
Better
touch on
convey.
that, Jim, if you don't mind. Yeah, so I've got, oh geez, probably 15 permits throughout the state right now for these particular projects, granted, approved projects. We have projects in Charlton, Leominster. You put me on the spot here trying to think of all these.
It's okay. How many of those are in lawsuits now, Tom? Do you know?
Currently just this one, and I'm not gonna opine on anything further.
Got it. I'll give way to anybody else. Jim, I would just want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak, but it would seem to me that as long as you guys are acting in our best interest to protect public health, safety, and welfare, that you have every right to oppose this. And since you're already be sued, you would come out slightly damaged, but this is what a lot of companies will do, is they'll threaten litigation. And you guys were prepared for this. So thank you for hearing me out.
Alana Owen? Alana?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So my concerns, I live at 24 Breckenridge. And I guess my biggest worry is like the safety and long-term impacts and like just overall lack of information that we have in terms of the long-term impacts of being exposed to living near a battery storage facility. Not only that, but I mean, you said that the decibels dropped down to 55, maybe. But from information that I've read, the noise can still, especially with multiple, like what are they called? Like the batteries, the storage pods themselves are like it can be louder than like a wind turbine. And we all live nearby, and honestly, I can hear what goes on at the farm way behind the Mackins. So if I can hear what's going on there, I'm probably still going to be able to hear the storage facility humming loudly. The impacts for wildlife in the farmland, like, and pollinators, like, we are a very farm-oriented area in town, and I am concerned about the bigger impacts. On top of that, when, if there is ever a tragedy such as a fire, um, there needs to be specialized training to put these fires out and also equipment. I mean, like Tom, is your company going to be paying for this training for our fire department to do? Are you going to be providing that equipment should something happen?
Through the chair, I can touch on that a little bit. So sound related for one, we'll provide the board with a run up on what that sound impact looks like. I can tell you, the nearest resident is 697 feet away, and I can tell you that the noise from this system will be inaudible at that distance, and that will be shown through the sound analysis. And then to touch on fire, normal firefighting practices are used to conduct passive firefighting. Passive firefighting meaning that you're not in a defensive mode and putting water directly onto these systems. So you're using a fogging pattern. There's no specialized equipment. You air monitor with a normal air monitoring system, which most fire departments have. And if they don't, we'd be happy to have a discussion with Hadley about that. So the fire chief, acting chief anyhow, Mr. Flaherty, did not have any major concerns at that point in time when we discussed it 2 weeks ago. And as I mentioned, I'll have the fire department put a letter together with their findings for the board's review and consideration.
I don't know. I particularly am not a fan of it. I'm all for clean energy, but the fact that this is over aquifer and in a residential area, I just think it's a really bad idea overall. That's it. Thanks.
I don't know how to
Donna?
raise my hand.
Yes, Donna Kirkle.
Yeah, I have a question for Tom Corbett. How many of the BESS systems have you installed in Massachusetts? And how many, I know you have lots of solar, that goes without saying, but other than the, what is it, in Leicester? Other than that one, how many actual BESS facilities have you installed?
So through the chair, we have installed batteries with solar fields for the last 8 years or better, since the start of Solar Smart 2.0. Solar Smart 2.0 required battery storage with solar. So we've developed over 65 megawatts worth of battery storage, meaning roughly 50 odd containers here in this state, for coupled with solar. Standalone energy storage systems as far as within the grid structure in Eversource. We don't have any in Eversource. We have one being built in Leominster right now in National Grid territory. And I guess in the past few years, you've seen every municipality in the state within Massachusetts Wholesale Electric Company come in and install standalone systems with their substations. So to answer your question, we have extensive experience with battery storage. We've been developing battery storage with solar and standalone for the past 8 to 10 years.
So you mentioned that you would not be the owner of this. Who actually would be the owner of this particular installation?
That's yet to be seen, but they're owner and operators that own and operate billions, if not millions, if not billions of dollars worth of infrastructure in the same regard.
It seems a little odd. Getting back to what Alana said about the sound, we live on Frelo Drive and have been here for 40 years. Whenever there is anything going on in the sand pit, for example, if there's a fire, because the sand pit is a hollow area, the air, the fire just, the smoke just goes up, comes down our side of the mountain. All the sound literally rises from the sand pit and comes right up over the hill, and we smell everything and we hear everything, and it can be in the dead of night, and we hear transformers in our neighborhood because that's how quiet it is. We're in a rural neighborhood, and I've done a lot of research and study about the decibel level of the particular battery storage unit that you put in, which is what is it here? It's called the Sungrow MVS 3460 LSUS, and the thing is, those they run between 65 and 75 each. So if you have a number of them, I can't imagine that the sound would not be emanating from that sand pit. I just can't imagine it, because we can hear a pin drop in this neighborhood. We hear the traffic on Route 9, and we hear the train going through on Amtrak, which is way far away from us because of where we are in this little hollow of a valley. And you've got the schools, you've got the sand pit, you've got the little park right next to it, and all the farms. I mean, I just can't see this facility in this area. And I don't think any of our neighbors want it either, for a lot of reasons other than just what Alana and I have brought up. No comment?
I didn't hear a question in there.
Well, I guess I guess the plan that you're going to provide the town regarding the sound will give us more information, but they should come here at night and play the sound that they would be producing from these 5 generators and see what it sounds like at night. I mean, we need that kind of documentation.
So I can touch on sound for I want to be courteous to you. I don't want to leave you high and dry here. So with sound, when we address sound on a site, we send our sound engineer to the site. They put a monitor on the site. So that monitor records sound, and for a 7-day period, they take the lowest sound out of that 7-day period, and they put that as the ambient sound. So the ambient sound of that neighborhood is going to be we'll say 35 decibels for the sake of this conversation. Who knows what it is really? But if that's, say, that ambient sound is 35, now that gets put into this 3D model, which is industry standard. This is throughout any kind of industry that we're talking about. This is not specific to solar. This is specific to any industrial use that's out there. When sound is evaluated, it gets put into what's called a CADNA program. That program is a 3D model which inputs all the system components as they are laid out. And it is all described within our reports that we have for the system as to what those levels of the sound are. So that is put into the model and projected outward from the system as it would be as if it was operating. So like you had said, putting multiple systems next to each other, multiple cabinets next to each other does enhance the overall decibel when it's in a system format. So if each container was 75 decibels at 1 meter, which is what these are, that does become a little bit greater. It's not a doubling, it's not a tripling, and you don't do it like that. I'm not a sound engineer by any means, but I know enough to be dangerous. So we put that into the model. That gets projected out. That accounts for, so that takes away trees, that takes away everything. It's only tracking like topography. No pure tones all the pure tones are taken out during the sound analysis, birds, things like that. So that lowest level gets done, that projects out. We get a ring map of distances and what those decibels are likely to be heard at. It's typical, and I don't know if it's in Hadley's solar bylaw or not for sound. I don't know if you have a regulation off the top of my head. It's been a while since I looked at it. But typically once the project is built, the sound will be done again to make sure that it matches what that report says. And if we do not comply with the DEP noise policy, mitigation has to be done in order to comply. DEP allows 10 decibels above ambient for projects. So if the ambient's 35, our max decibel rating can be 45 at certain distance to a butter's homes, is how it is.
So I have one more question.
But we do measure that. We do, when we put that out there in the 3D model, those sound levels are taken from the second story window of all of Butter's homes. So that's not at just ground level. That's at places in which you would be normally active.
I have another question.
Sure.
What kind of disruption could happen with the remote monitoring? I think Mr. Maskomowski asked the question about or maybe Mr. Dwyer did, about the remote monitoring. How is it done? Is it done by internet? Is it done by electricity? And can that be disrupted in an event of any kind? Is there anything that can disrupt that connectivity from New York to monitoring the system here in the installation?
I guess there's always a possibility, right? But in the event that monitoring is interrupted, we do get notified as a company and we get dispatched to the site.
ZDNet, Zero Point gets dispatched?
Us or the long-term owner if project changes hands. Yes, correct.
Okay.
The operator of the system.
Okay. Thanks.
We have that happen frequently during lightning storms on fields.
Yeah, just to let her know you're coming. I mean, Brianna's there. But yeah, just to let her know. She likes to know who's coming over. So
Kevin and Kath, if you could mute yourself, thank you.
I just did. We have one more hand raised.
BC, could you please state your name too?
You are muted.
BC, yeah. BC, you there?
One other thing. There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Brian Carroll, 26 Breckenridge Road.
Thank you.
So I'm like right across this road from the access road. So I will reiterate what some other people have said about this neighborhood. Noise carries like a bell. I mean, I don't have to buy tickets for the Young Men's Club's concerts because I can sit on my back deck and hear every song and very clearly. So, so to my point to that is you said you have all these facilities within the state. Is there any sites that are close by that maybe there could be a site visit by at least the planning board, if not the neighbors that are going to have to deal with this hum or whatever it is to hear what it actually sounds like in real life?
I don't have anything nearby that I could allow anybody to go to, but if you wanted to go down to UMass Amherst, they have battery storage right outside their facility.
Okay. So next question is, if there was a fire, what is the hazard with a fire associated with this facility? Is there, and if it's hazardous, is there an evacuation plan, or would that all work?
Through the chair, so hazards with the fires are that of a regular structure fire. You have smoke, you have flame, you have the fire department attempting to extinguish or cool certain areas. There is no evacuation that is drawn out in our emergency response plan. That is left entirely up to the fire department. They're the authority having jurisdiction. We would never tell them that they couldn't, but it is not something that is recommended in our emergency response plan.
Right, so there's no concern for any toxic fumes or?
There are not.
Okay.
Nothing more than that of a regular structure fire. So components inside this battery storage is essentially plastic, which is filled in every one of our homes.
Okay. So I guess my last question is, if in the unlikely chance that there was a failure of the system and there was a leakage into the aquifer and contaminated, who is liable for that and who would clean it up? And is your company going to filter the whole aquifer to get any toxins out of the, I mean, just wondering whose liability is that if it happens to be, that ever happened?
Through the chair, it would be the project owner's liability in that, and that would be following through DEP mandated protocol.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Oh, there was one more. There's two battery storage facilities in Hadley. There's one at UMass. There's another one on the backside of Hampshire Mall. There's a solar field back there, and I am pretty sure they have battery storage associated with it.
That's
So
right.
I'm not sure how accessible they are to hear something, or for listening for sound, but I believe there's one there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. The one at UMass Amherst is very accessible, and it's right next to the soccer fields and football fields, right adjacent to all the student parking.
Randy?
Yes, sir. Tom, you're talking about doing sound testing and figuring out what the ambient sound level is, et cetera, et cetera. When you determine the sound that's going to come from these units, will you do, and I don't know if I heard this or not, will you bring something to the site and tell neighbors we're going to do this for 2 or 3 days, nights, and produce the sound that you think is going to come out of those storage units?
So we don't actually produce the sound. So when the ambient sound is monitored, the sound engineer puts a microphone out on the site. This is a certified microphone. This is industry standard in the way that this is done. as far as industrial practices. So the sound monitor microphone gets put on site and it's there for 7 days and it's monitoring sound 24/7 for those 7 days. Then when that 7th day is up, the sound engineer goes back out, takes the microphone back home, gets all the data collected out of that collection box or hard drive, whatever it is that does it. I'm not the sound engineer. They put that into their system. They pull out all the pure tones, things like even dog barking, things like that, all come out. And they refine that down to what the lowest L90 noise level is, which is better described by a sound engineer than I. And then it's put into the 3D software to augment that sound, the predicted sound of the system. Once installed, once the system's installed, there would be I call it a pre and a post sound analysis. The pre being checking the ambient, inputting the system components, their decibel ratings, projecting that out, putting that into a report for an assumption on sound. Once the project is built, there would be a post sound analysis done. And if it's not meeting the DEP regulations, the mitigation has to happen. And to be honest, if you were to call the DEP and say this thing is loud and it doesn't meet the regulation, then it would have to be fixed. So there are ways, if projects don't comply, that they can be brought into compliance by way of sound walls, whatever the mitigation may be. There's different applications for many different situations. Does that help, Randy?
A little bit, but I would have to agree with two of the previous speakers because I live on the north side of the hill that the gravel pit's on. And because we're up high, sound travels, in my opinion, differently than when you're down low. So I can hear things happening at UMass that, I can hear football games. So I'm a little concerned that this noise is going to travel and I may not hear it, but the people that are closer than I am will. And then we're going to get into a proverbial peeing contest because they're hearing it and it's annoying, but maybe it qualifies as being quiet enough decibel wise, but it's still going to be annoying. So I would love to be able to hear this stuff before it's built so that we have an idea what it truly is going to sound like.
I would recommend you visiting UMass Amherst or the solar field the chair had mentioned. That would give you a pretty good representation about what's here. Normal operating decibels, as provided in the material, is 75 decibels, slightly louder than a conversation, face-to-face conversation.
Mm-hmm. Well, if it's a constant drone, it's going to be much more annoying than a conversation.
Sean Mackin?
Jim, I know this meeting's not done, but what are the planned next steps regarding the planning board for this project?
What do you mean by that?
What are the next steps for this? After this meeting, what happens?
This meeting will more than likely be continued to a meeting in August so that Mr. Corbett can come back with the answers that have been placed before him. And depending on those answers, we may be making him a decision. We may be continuing it again, depending on what he's come up with, if he has an answer to everything we've requested.
Okay, and the lawsuit now against the town of Hadley, is that supposed to go to a judge at some point, or can you give the people the status of that, the company suing the town of Hadley for this?
The lawsuit is pending. I have no idea. I'm not capable of answering that question. Maybe Mr. Vavone is.
Yes, I can give a quick summary. In the next 3 weeks, I don't have the date off the top of my head, there's a pretrial conference, which is sort of the final conference before a trial, where the town's lawyer and I attend. We present, what the status is with the judge, and then look at a date at some point in the future. As far as a date, that will wholly depend on the court. So, but that's the next step in the process. In the next month, let's say, there's going to be a conference with the court.
Thanks, James and Tom. This is nothing personal. I know you guys are doing your jobs. We're just trying to protect what we have here. Thank you.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes, just so I think I understand and everyone understands, Tom. So your secondary containment, it's basically a bathtub under your fenced area. It's 18 inches deep of crushed stone, and you said it's how many gallons?
Right around 17,000.
So 17,000 gallons. So if I understand the system, it like tonight, it's going to pour rain. It could fill, but it's got a perforated drain at the bottom, and that is draining out. So it's just like any storm drainage, collection. And so your rain is going out under the road and off into the other Carl's property, right? And then that, with the drains at the bottom of that should empty out. And so if any event happens and any of your chemicals spill in there, you've got that, which is, I think you said 138% of what you would need to contain. And you have first and secondary efforts to close the valves to contain that, right?
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, the 138%, that's part of the internal capacity for each container, not the site.
Right,
There's
right.
no percentage understanding of the site. It's based upon water consumption.
That's 138% of the, what was it, ethylene glycol?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So then it's not like it's not like that's a bathtub that sits full and then your spill would float over the top of it. It's being drained actively at the bottom with your perforated drain like you would have around your footings. So
that's right. So the system, the polyvinyl membrane kind of pitches to the middle and then to the front of the system, if you're looking at the plan. And that perforated pipe goes to the vault in the front corner, which normally open. So
right.
the water on a rainy day, the water is just trickling through the system, trickling through the pipe and out to the discharge where it normally would today.
Okay.
So, so the discharge is capturing the first gallon, not the 17,000th and first gallon.
The discharge.
So the secondary discharge system.
Oh,
if it's just rain, it's going to go out.
Yeah.
So there would be a problem though if the fail-safe valve failed, then any contaminants in the secondary containment would flow out.
No, because there's a T valve.
Yeah, but you're depending on it, you're counting on it working.
On what working? So the automatic valve.
Yeah, the automatic valve is held open by electricity.
Correct.
And so as long as there is still power to it,
it's
if
open.
there were some sort of a leakage, that bypassed the first containment system and made it into the secondary containment system, that coolant would still flow out.
That would never happen. It holds 138%, which is well above the 110 industry standard.
Right.
So it's impossible for the fluid to flow outside of that containment.
And what triggers that valve? You're constantly monitoring the pressure in the coolant system, and if that drops, would that trigger it?
So the valve inside the secondary subsurface containment has nothing to do with the containers itself. It's solely there for firefighting water runoff. Everything else on site is contained within the battery energy storage containers themselves and or a drip pan under the medium voltage skid to collect the, once again, biodegradable soybean oil.
I must have missed something. You said 138%. What is 138%?
So in each container, let me pull this up. So this is a pretty terrible drawing to see, but here on the bottom is a coolant collection tank. So if there was a coolant leak inside any one of these containers in orange here, all that coolant gets directed to that secondary collection tank. That collection tank cannot overspill. It's a sealed tank that gets piped. That's 138%. The capacity of that tank is 138% more than the quantity of ethylene glycol in the container. So ethylene glycol getting leaked from a broken hose is getting collected into this collection tank and not leaving that container.
Okay, I get that now. I wasn't sure. It almost sounded like you were saying the 17,138%. I'm thinking,
No.
my goodness, how
No,
much glycol do you have in this place?
So the 17,000 gallon number just comes from the sheer dimensions of the secondary polyvinyl membrane in the depth of it. We at previous application, we had it at a foot depth. I believe it was around I want to say 12,000 gallons, maybe a little bit shy of that. We increased it with this submittal to 1.5 feet, provides a little bit more containment, a little bit more cushion, a little bit more feel good about it in the event that a fire happens. But again, it's endless capacity because we can pump water while firefighting activities are going on. When a fire event is signaled, we also dispatch somebody like Clean Harbors that has the vac trucks. So a vac truck company would be dispatched to the site to suck water in the event that it does fill, whatever, even at the end of it. Even at the end of the event, the water would be sucked out of the secondary containment system, sent for testing or tested on site and brought to the appropriate disposal. But if the firefighters do their job and effectively not having to put water into the container itself, that fire water runoff is very, very clean and can be put into city sewers in some instances, but not to say that that happens here. It has to follow protocol with DEP.
So just remind me again, what triggers the closing of that valve out of the secondary containment?
The secondary site containment, the valve closes upon 2 signals of for a fire alarm, smoke alarm, heat alarm, gas alarm.
Okay.
So each container has 2 heat alarms, 2 smoke alarms, and 2 gas detectors.
BC, you have your hand up again, or is that from before?
No, I'm up again.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a couple more questions. So I'm just curious, does this project have any benefit for the town, or is it all just for your company? Do we get tax revenue out of this? Do we get a discount on power or energy or free energy for the schools or anything? Do we get anything out of this?
There
Typically,
is,
Go ahead, Tom.
sorry. There is tax revenue for the town that would be agreed upon. I believe you mentioned a pilot agreement. Sometimes it's based upon other means, and as well as this individual system is a net benefit to the electric grid in which it's connected to. So it enhances the power quality, the resiliency and redundancy of the system, and allows for National Eversource to operate their system in a more advanced manner.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I was just curious on the benefit actually directly to the town, but okay. And so I guess this one's more for the planning board. So since their lawyer attends your meetings and presentations and all this, and we are in litigation, is town council attending your meetings with this lawyer to make sure that we don't get into trouble or say things that they might use against us at a later date?
Well, to answer briefly, it is not unusual to have a applicant's attorney attend a planning board meeting. That
I
happens
understand that. My
probably-
question wasn't that. Since we're in litigation, shouldn't we cover our bases and have our town council attend since we're in litigation? Not because of lawyers attending. We are in litigation with this company and this is their lawyer. To me, it just seems to make sense to have town council be there to know what's going on and hear what's being said. And but that's just my opinion. So that's my 2 cents.
Mr. Dwyer?
I'm not quite sure how to answer that. I mean, this meeting is being 100% taped. Town council can watch this entire proceedings if it ever comes to that.
Okay.
I think the planning board has enough. I hope the planning board has enough experience. You've heard us say this several times already, that we need to be careful what we say because we do have a pending suit. And we're simply talking about the facts in front of us tonight.
Yep.
Jim, we've been through this before with when their town council has threatened to sue. And we realize the fact that we perhaps can regulate, but when we come into an extent of over-regulating, we are in fact prohibiting. So we're walking a fine line too. We'd like to make sure that all our questions are answered and the neighbors' questions are answered, and that if there are some concerns, that we can get some regulations, whether it be from sound or discharge, and then the two parties can agree and we'll put it in writing, and there will not be a protracted lawsuit.
Randy?
Yes. So the question was asked about the 17,000 gallon containment and can that spill over? And the answer was there's a valve that will shut off. My guess is that there is a possibility that that valve may not close. Something could happen, a mechanical failure or whatever. I think that needs to be recognized and answer the question accordingly.
Yeah, and through the chair, if that valve does not close, there is 2 manual valves outside the fence that can be closed.
I understand that, but it's not going to be an instantaneous thing. So there is, I
That's
think there's
after an
legitimate
hour.
concern.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, there's
valve,
legitimate concern.
well, there's nothing that's going to be spilled into the containment system unless there's fire water being put on it, which means that there's somebody on site to shut the valve. So that solves that problem.
Okay, thank you.
Mark?
I don't know if you can answer this, Tom, but do you know if any of these BESS across the state have gone into affluent communities like Wellesley or Newton or the like?
I know that it is pretty standard for people to be putting battery storage into their homes these days, almost everywhere. But these battery storage systems are typically either one attached to a three-phase feeder like this as a standalone unit, two attached to a solar field coupled with a solar field, like the one in Hadley, and the standalone unit over at UMass. And I guess there are thousands of battery storage applications throughout this state in this scale. As far as how this container looks, there are thousands of them, thousands of megawatts.
So I just had another question. Going back to Randy's question, the valve that could be shut off by only your technician or engineer on site. It can't be shut off by the fire department or emergency crews.
Yes, it can be.
Okay.
The manual valve can be, and it is and will be spelled out in that spill management plan that was referenced earlier, which was included in the application report.
Okay, so it's not like they have to wait an hour or so for someone
That's
to be.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's accessible to the fire department. That's going to be part of the emergency response plan that's developed with the fire department as far as protocol when they get to site, whether they, whether subject matter experts on site, one of us or fire department, that valve can be shut.
Donna? You're muted. Donna, stop. You're muted.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're muted again. Muted again.
Unmute.
There
Okay.
you go.
All
Muted
right.
again.
All right. Are we ready?
Yes, you're
Okay.
good.
Thanks. I'm not good at Zoom, you can tell. So listen, Tom, earlier you said something about there being thousands of best facilities in Massachusetts. Okay. You said thousands if I
Of
Applications.
Of megawatts.
Okay. Right now on Clearview Company Power Online, there are no current battery listings that Zero Point is in line of doing. Can you address that point?
It's unclear to me what your question is.
Well,
I don't know what Clearview is.
Clearview is the state's record, if you will, of the best storage systems that are currently being built, that were applied for and being built. And it lists every single entity that is building one right now online with any power company. And Zero Point isn't listed.
I'm not familiar with whatever you're looking at right now live. I haven't had the opportunity to look at
It's called CleanView.
CleanView. I'm not sure
CleanView
what that
Company
is.
Power.
And again, I can tell you that we are under development in 7 projects right now for battery storage as a standalone system. And we have 65 odd megawatts that we have developed in the past that we may not own anymore, but we have developed it.
In this state?
In this state only.
Can
We
you
only
give
own
us,
Massachusetts.
can you give us a list of those?
I cannot.
Can you give them a list for the next meeting?
Yeah, I could. I mean, I'm not going to give you a comprehensive list of every site. I can't give out project
But I mean,
addresses and things of that nature.
If you could just list half a dozen sites.
That would be very helpful.
Of previously developed solar and storage.
Not solar and storage, just best systems, the standalone like you're doing here.
Yeah, none of them are built yet.
Except
They're all permitted and awaiting authorization to connect. So nothing's built in the ground as far as a standalone unit right now today.
what about the one in Leicester?
Leicester, Mass.
Yeah,
that's coupled with solar.
It was what?
That's coupled with solar.
I see. So are we the only standalone one that you? your
Like I
company?
just mentioned, we have a half a dozen over. Well, I've worked on, first of all, 30 of them over the past 6 years. I've permitted 20 odd projects. We have 7 of them that we're actively working on right now.
Okay.
Hope that sufficiently answers your question.
Well, if you
We
can,
work
if
in
you can
towns
give,
like Warren, Leicester, Charlton, Spencer, oh geez, Lancaster,
But those are all connected to storage,
Belchertown. Those are all connected to
to solar. Thank you.
Tanya?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry. So I just want to say, how many, I wanted to ask Tom, how many of those that you have been part of have been over Aquafor?
That's a good question.
I don't have that off the top of my head, but I know of 2.
And
In
they were
total, I don't
approved?
know, that are approved and built.
Without having to sue the town?
That's
Like
correct.
there were,
So I want to just, this is an appeal. So the lawsuit you guys are speaking to is an appeal of a special permit denial. We're not like actively trying to sue the town to try and put our system here. We're arguing the denial of our permit.
Mhm.
And that process gets done through court, not through ZBA.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. I just want to say as a resident, because I too live on 27 Breckenridge Road, and we are the property that is the closest to the pit on that side, on the same side of the pit. Sound certainly travels. You may say that it sounds like a conversation, but we can hear them talking down there. And if that is going to be a sound that's going to travel all day long, I'm pretty sure that most of our neighbors would not appreciate it. And it's not something that we planned when we purchased our home, when we planned to live here. That was not the attraction site that I was looking forward to. I just wanted to say that. Thanks for holding this meeting and for allowing residents to speak their point of view too, and not just ask questions. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything for tonight?
I'd like to make a quick comment. Again, a number of them, just to the planning board. I think we're all kind of taken back. None of us knew anything about this. I talked to a number of neighbors. So I know we're supposed to go and find the information from the planning board, but I think, we're really, so, Sean mentioned, where do we go from here? I think that's an outtake of where we're all kind of lost. So just to let the planning board know, the neighbors.
Okay.
I will make a motion to
Wait a minute,
continue.
BC put his hand up again. Yes, sir.
Hi. So quick question. So there was a plan or something thrown out there about putting housing back there. Is that still happening?
See
Couple
the
houses. Yeah,
There was a 2-lot subdivision with a proposed home site at the intersection of the driveway and Breckenridge. And the second lot was going to be the actual drive, the whole solar array, the whole BESS installation area. That's all it was, a 2-lot subdivision.
Right, but that's no longer happening?
It is still of record. It was approved.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering.
So,
And is it still going to be, Carl's is still going to have an active pit? As far as we know, with this?
As far as we know.
So there'll be 3 different things going on in that property. Housing, the Carl's pit, and the solar, or the battery operating. All right,
Correct.
thank you.
They are 2 separate parcels. The rear of the parcel is the sand pit.
Donna?
Yeah, I just want to read something about decibels. The SunPower model Titan 2.0, like the one that's the ST50115UX2, the one that's going to be installed, is at or below 75 decibels. At 75 decibels, the sound is moderately loud and comparable to the noise of a standard vacuum cleaner, a washing machine, or moderate traffic at 50 feet away. The hum and tonal frequencies could be a source of discontent and complaints from nearby residents. This is information that I got on a search online regarding the particular installations of the battery storage and the power backups that they're installing. So I just wanted that to go on record.
Thank you.
Mr. Dwyer,
I will make a motion to continue the public hearing to August 18th, 2026.
I would second that.
we have a motion and a second to continue this public hearing to August 18th. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Gunn, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximowski, aye. You're muted, Kishore.
Zagrodnik, aye.
Farmar, aye. Sorry.
Motion passes 5-0. It'll be just like this public hearing. The agenda and the Zoom link will be posted on the town website roughly the Thursday before the 18th, which would be the 13th, roughly, of August. So if you're interested in attending that meeting again, you're welcome to, and just tune in. Thank you very much.
I appreciate
you.
your time today. Thank you all.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Let's see. We don't have any executive session. Is that correct, Mr. Dwyer?
That's correct. We don't.
Do we want to go over? Do we have time, or is it late?
It's 8:30.
Yeah. And maybe we should say, well, PVPC will be at the next meeting, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, we'll save the issue of reviewing changes to the chapter 40A that the state has recently adopted to that meeting. It might be more appropriate to go over when PVPC is here, so we can all go over it together. But just for everybody's information, I think you may have seen it. The state has made changes to chapter 40A regarding, I guess for lack of a better term, grandfathering. And to be honest, I don't fully understand what they're saying. So I don't know if Mr. Dwyer does.
We did receive a memo from town council. I think I circulated it to all of you. Yeah, I just skimmed it. It's more tinkering with the rules that we thought we understood.
Could you forward that to me, Bill, please?
Yeah, I can
Thank
do
you.
that.
I see Nancy Slosarski, you are hanging around. Do you have a question for the planning board, or are you just listening? No comment.
Looks like we lost Kishore.
Probably thought the meeting was done. Anyways, I have nothing else.
I'll make
anything?
a motion to adjourn.
Hold on, please. I did a little homework. Last meeting, we were talking about the ADUs and whether we can limit bedrooms. And I did some research, and we cannot limit bedrooms. The state will not allow it.
Okay, so they
So
could
just,
whatever they can fit into that small space, they can put in.
yes,
That's unfortunate.
yes, I agree.
Like astronauts sleeping quarters or something, right?
But just so keep that in the backs of your mind. So when we continue the conversation, we know we can't limit bedrooms.
Okay. Mr. Dwyer, you were making a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, roll call.
Done, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximowski, aye. Joe, Kishore is gone.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0 with one absent. Thank you much, everybody. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Alex. And thank you, Dave.
Good night, everybody.